Welcome to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. Get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and connected to the miraculous energy of unconditional love that I call Mother Mary. If you're a highly sensitive, highly creative entrepreneur or light worker, and you want to magnify your impact and your intuition, you are in the right place. I'm your host, Reverend Frances Faden, interfaith minister, intuitive coach, and author of Meditation is Friendship with God. I can't wait to share miraculous stories, books, meditations, messages, and interviews with other miraculous light workers just like you. Are you ready to magnify your miracles? What are we waiting for? Let's get started. Hello, my miraculous friend, and welcome to another episode of the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. This is Reverend Frances Faden, and I'm so grateful to get to spend this time with you today, where we're going to be talking about the fastest path to your purpose. But before we do that, let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths together, just really getting ourselves grounded and centered. As always, if you are driving, please keep your eyes open while you're listening, but you can still bring your awareness to your breath. Breathing in the energy of expansion and breathing out anything that you no longer need. We do this so we can get our body, mind, and spirit all in the same place at the same time, ready to receive this inspiration today. And whatever it is that you would love to hear today, whatever it is that you want to know about your purpose, just let yourself imagine that you have already received it. And you are feeling the amazing inspiration, the expansiveness, the love, the joy, whatever it might be for you. And as you let yourself feel that sweet vibration that is already here for you, knowing that's exactly what will be happening, let's take one more deep breath in gratitude. And we can begin. All right. Well, welcome once again, my friend. And I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite things to talk about with people is your purpose. And you may or may not know, but one of the services that I offer is called a Sacred Life Purpose Session. And it helps people to understand more about their purpose and how they can really have more fulfillment. But we're going to talk today about the fastest path to your purpose. And I want to tell you a little bit about my take on purpose. There's a lot of talk about finding your purpose and living your purpose. And these are all beautiful things. And I think they're wonderful that people are pursuing them. But I'm going to give you my take on it because it's a little bit different than the average person. So I've been fascinated by this idea of what's my purpose and why are we here and all of those questions. And I began working with the chakras, the 7 energy centers, long time ago, over 25 years ago. I started working with the energy system. And at that time, I was mostly working from the perspective of health and healing and what could they tell us about, symptoms what we were having, which that information is still there. It's still amazing. But I was inspired by Mother Mary to start asking about people's life purpose. And is that information in your chakra system? And I found out that it is. In fact, you can ask anything of your 7 chakras because they're like little energetic databases. They store information not only from this lifetime, but from previous lifetimes. And it gives us access to these parts of ourselves that are imbued with this information. I guess I can call it that. So each of the 7 energy centers has a different part of your purpose or a different aspect of your purpose to share with you. And once I started doing these sessions, I was blown away by the information that came through. Well, the very first thing that I will share with you is that your purpose is not about your job. People sometimes look to make what they do for a living their purpose, and you absolutely can do that. And it's so fun to do that. As part of what I do is I help people figure out how to do that and how to monetize that and how they can be doing their purpose in a way that will bring them a sense of fulfillment. Absolutely. Because there's always a way to find that you can do your purpose. But your purpose really is what you came here to embody. So that's the first question I ask. There's 7 things that we look at when we look at purpose. The first thing is, what did your soul come here to embody? What did it come here to experience? And it's from the day that you were born that your soul has been having this adventure. So when people say, well, what is my purpose? How do I do it? It's not something that you do. It's something that you embody, and it's something that you experience. And that information is in your root chakra. It's in your first energy center. What did you come here to embody? And it's from, as I said, day one. So you can't miss doing your purpose. One of the things I like to say to my clients is, rather than try to find your purpose, what I encourage you to do is find a way to express it, because you're already doing whatever it is your purpose. So my example is, my soul came here to embody the energy of peace. The energy of peace, which for me, I've learned means the energy of inner peace. So a lot of my work is about helping other people find peace within themselves, helping them to let go of beliefs and things that are getting in their way, so that they can finally really be who they came here to be, and they can be at peace with the soul that is inside of them. So that's my purpose. That's what my soul came here to embody. And here's a clue. Usually what you came here to embody, you were born into a family that is the exact opposite energy. And that's definitely true for me. I did not grow up in a peace-filled, harmonious environment. Quite the opposite. It was a lot of strife, a lot of struggle in my family environment when I was growing up. And so if you look at the energy that you were raised in, you were probably raised in the exact opposite energy. And as Abraham Hicks would say, it's for contrast. I don't know exactly why that seems to be the case, but we seem to be born in the opposite energy to kind of give us the impetus to seek out what it is that we're really here to be experiencing. So the first chakra tells you that. The second chakra will tell you what your archetypes are. And this is the way that you really express this thing that you're here to embody. Your archetypes, I say that they're similar to like your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign. Usually they definitely have one. Most people have two, and sometimes people will have three. So like I say, it's your like your sun sign, your rising sign, your moon sign. They're different aspects of you, but your primary archetype is always the strongest. And it is the way that you will be expressing that particular primary way of being that is in your root chakra. So again, I'll use myself as an example. My primary archetype is of the healer with a capital H. And healer also means mystic. And it also means, I take it like medicine woman, like the person who could go between states of consciousness, the person who was a bridge between heaven and earth. And a lot of the people that are attracted to my work are what I call threefold souls. These are people who embody the creative person, the artist, the mystical person, the priest, the priestess, and also the healer, the medicine woman or the medicine man, depending. And you're all three of those. And so that's my primary archetype. And I lead with the healing energy. Everything I do has a healing quality to it. But my secondary archetype is the teacher. And then my third one is the writer. And you can see this played out in what I do. Anything that I'm doing always has a healing aspect. Even this podcast, I'm always trying to offer you something that would be healing for you, that would be inspiring for you, that's going to uplift you. But then the teacher archetype comes in, and I'm always trying to pass on a little bit of how can you do it? I'm always trying to empower you, to show you ways that you can do that. And then the third archetype of the writer is someone who works with words, whether it's literally writing them down. It's somebody who's working with the power of words to support this energy of peace. So the way that I help people, and I help myself to experience the energy of peace, is through healing, through that mystical connection. That is my primary archetype. Being able to dance between worlds is like how I like to say it. And then there's a teaching aspect to it. It's not just enough to inspire you. I want to also show you how you can do it too. And then there's using it through words, as opposed to dance or painting or any other way that I might do it. So that's how they work together. And a lot of times when people discover what these archetypes are, and by the way, this is a system that Mother Mary gave me. You're not going to read this in any books anywhere. This is my personal way that she has shown me how to talk to these chakras and find out what they are. Oftentimes people will have what I call their archetypes are flipped. You're living more from your secondary rather than your primary. And it's kind of like living as your moon sign instead of your sun sign. So imagine if you're a beautiful Leo and your moon is in, let's say your moon is in Pisces or something like that. Imagine living as a Pisces instead of as a fiery Leo. your life is going to start to feel a little bit stuck. And that's what can happen when people, I call it flipping your archetypes. You live your life upside down. That actually happened to me about 10 or 12 years ago when my wife and I had a workshop business, and it was very much about teaching. I was teaching people about marketing. We were teaching about mindset. We were teaching about all kinds of things. And I loved it. It was so inspiring and I loved sharing it. And invariably at the end of every workshop, people would come over to me and they would ask me about their purpose. They would ask me about the things that they needed to heal, because that's my primary way of being. And so I finally said, let me really make my business into my primary way of being, so that I can teach, but I can also be coming from that mystical side of myself. And then your third chakra tells you who's on your team, if you have a special assignment. But the one I really want to talk to you about today is your heart chakra, because this is the fastest path to your purpose. It's really in your heart chakra. Now, again, I'll tell you the rest of the chakras so that you're not wondering about them. 4 is going to tell you your deep heart's desire. 5 is going to tell you the best way to express your purpose, how you're oriented. 6 is going to show it to you in the big vision, like when it manifests, what does it look like? And then your crown chakra tells you what is it that you need to let go of so that all this amazing stuff can start to manifest for you quickly. That one's really, really important. But if you're looking for the fastest path to your purpose, when people are asking about their purpose, you know what they're really asking? They're asking, what's going to give me a sense of meaning? What's going to give me a sense of fulfillment? In the West, we think this is going to be our job, especially here in the United States. We think it's going to be our job. We think it's going to be the way that we make money, but very often it's not. That doesn't mean that it can't be. But how many people do we know who have jobs that aren't feeling fulfilled? How many people do we know that are doing things that society tells them to do, and yet they're not feeling fulfillment? And that's the energy of the heart chakra. So one of the things I say to my clients is, we can help you with all of these chakras, but if you're not listening to that heart chakra, you're going to be missing the key ingredient, which is that energy of fulfillment. So the heart chakra helps you to know what matters to you. What is it that you're longing for? What is it that would bring you the most pleasure, the most joy? And this is really hard for most people to answer in our culture that's so nose to the grindstone and even puritanical. Even the word pleasure seems like, ooh, can we use that word? And it's actually such a key word, because that which brings you joy is the gateway to your purpose. You know, I love that word pleasure. I've just begun being friends with that word in the last year and a half, thanks to my friendship with my colleague, Charisse Sissou, who I totally recommend that you go to her website and you check it out. She talks about this, and she talks about how, especially for women, when we get into the things that bring us pleasure, whether it's pleasure on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level, that which you enjoy, that's the key. It even says in the Bible that it is God's great pleasure to give you the kingdom. Well, if it's God's pleasure to give us the kingdom, don't you think pleasure is part of the equation? What would make you say, I would love that? So many people, when I talk with my clients about their deep heart's desire, they'll give me a litany of things. They'll tell me like, well, these are the things I really want. I want to have a house, and I want to have a husband, and I want to have, I want to see my kids doing well, and I want blah, blah, blah. It's just a list. Nothing wrong with the list. It's a beautiful list. But you can see when they're talking about it, it doesn't light them up. What is it that lights you up, my friend? That's my question for you. What is it that lights you up? What is it that when I say to you, if you could really do anything, what would that be? A lot of people can't even answer that question because they can't get beyond like, oh, but how would I do it? And I don't have the money to do that. And it would take too much time to do that. And what would my husband say? What would my wife say? They get stuck in that they can't even take a breath and go, what would that be? What would that be? I ask myself this question on a regular basis because I love to be in the energy of possibility. If you're like me, you're a highly sensitive person, you probably have a restricted diet. There's probably things that your body can't handle. But every day I ask myself, what would I love to eat today? Even if I know that I can't eat it. And I'll just think about it and I'll be like, what would be great is a piece of really fresh bread with homemade butter on it and a little bit of honey from the farm up the street. And I'm like, that feels really good. It gets me into the zone of pleasure. It gets me into the zone of possibility. And then I say to myself, well, can't have that fresh bread. What else could I have? And then I look at options and I come up with something that I never would have come up with if I had just said, well, I can't have bread. I guess I'll have oatmeal or whatever. It gets you into that place. So I'm encouraging you, my friends, to start asking yourself, what would you love? What would be yummy? If you weren't thinking about other people and what they would think, if you weren't worried about being judged, if you weren't worried about, can I even have it? Is it even possible? And you just were in like a little kid. What could I have? What would be great? That is going to connect you right away to the thing that will be fulfilling for you. So I've seen this time and again with my own clients. They have these beautiful archetypes. They have this beautiful thing that they've come here to embody, but their heart is longing for something. And very often it's longing for connection. It's longing for love. It's longing for creative expression. It's longing for something that a long time ago they told themselves, well, you can't have that. Or somebody else might have said, or you can't do that. Girls can't do that. Boys can't do that. You can't do that. But that desire was planted there by the divine. And it is the key to your happiness and your fulfillment. And I think that that is the fastest path to your purpose, is what's going to make you feel fulfilled. So that at the end of your life, you're looking back and you're like, that was a good life. That was yummy. I really enjoyed my life. Now, everybody has their own unique way, and I'm not going to tell you what it is for you, but I am going to ask you to really let yourself play with this. Don't work at it. Play with it. Dream about it. Let it go over in your mind. Let it kind of seep into your consciousness. What am I longing for? What would I love? What feels, and use sensual words. That helps us get in touch with our senses. What would be yummy or delicious? Or what would feel so scrumptious or amazing? Use those words. The fastest path to your purpose is really through your heart chakra. Because when people ask about their purpose, what they're really asking about is their pleasure. They're not going to admit it because they're not going to use that word, but they're really asking, what's going to give me some meaning? What's going to make me feel good? What's going to give me that sense of fulfillment? And that's the answer, my friends. Check in with your heart. So do a little journaling about it. I would love to hear any answers that you have about what it is that you feel like your heart is longing for. Even just now, as I'm asking it, my eyes go out my window and I'm like, what am I longing for right now? I'm longing to be outside. I'm longing to be out and feel the wind. I'm longing to be, one of my core values is freedom. And I love to have the feeling of the breeze on my skin. I love that. Just a simple pleasure. But you know what? That simple pleasure, I've built my whole life and my whole business around that. I make sure that I have time every day to be outside. I make sure that I have time to do the things that matter to me. And you can do that too. You can create your life in a way that is pleasing to you. You can create your life in a way that uplifts you. You can create your life in a way that you're so filled with love and joy that it's spilling over and you have so much to share with other people. Often we try to give from an empty cup. We try to give what we don't have. And this is a really different way of looking at it. What if you let yourself fill your cup with the things that bring you joy, whatever those things are? And maybe being of service is the thing that brings you that joy. Fill up your cup and then give from the overflow, and you will feel fulfilled. That's my promise to you. If you need any help with this, I invite you. You're welcome to set up an appointment with me. We could have a miracle meeting, and we could talk about some more. What is it that you would really love? I'll put the link in the show notes that if you want to set up a miracle meeting with me, and we could talk about your deep heart's desire, what you're longing for, and let's see if I can help you to sort that out and manifest that. I would love to do that. You can also go to my website, francesfaden.com, and right on the homepage, you'll see a beautiful MP3 there of how to manifest your heart's desire with Mother Mary. It's an amazing guided meditation, and it's there for you anytime. You can go there and download that. So remember once again, my friend, that we are in the business of magnifying our miracles. And what's the first way that we do that? By remembering, always calling to mind, my miracle's already here. Your miracle is already here. That's my promise to you. Thank you so much, my friend. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Magnify Your Miracles podcast. I'm so grateful to be able to spend this time with you. If you want even more inspiration, feel free to visit my website, francesfaden.com or magnifyyourmiracles.com. And if you did enjoy this episode, I would really appreciate it if you left a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever it is that you connect with awesome podcasts. Remember, the key to magnifying your miracles is remembering that your miracle is already here.